Hello, I'm Dan Schotlander. I'm here to welcome you to today's episode of Let's Be Direct, where we'll dive into a trend that's shaping the world of data and analytics. I'm your host, and today we're exploring a topic that's become kind of a game changer for organizations of all sizes, and that's business intelligence, dashboards, and visualization tools. We've got with us today, we have Shelley Polasek, who's the billing systems analyst with Guadalupe Valley Electric Cooperative. Welcome. We have Luke Hofferber from Mid South Energy, technical project coordinator there, and Mark Freeman of Sprout Fiber, VP of Network Operations. So welcome, everyone. Yeah. So you guys all have something in common. We have a lot of things in common, actually. But you've all recently implemented the BHBI dashboard for your operations. And so we're in an era where data is more abundant than ever. Businesses need more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. They need insights. They need trends. You need to get the story that can guide those strategic decisions and drive growth. And you're all in a growth industry. And that's kind of where business intelligence dashboards and visualization tools come in. These tools have surged in popularity because they make complex data more accessible, actionable, visually compelling, and they really do allow teams anywhere from like the executives to analyst levels to look for those trends and track those key metrics, make data-driven decisions with ease. So really today, I'd love to chat with you all about your experience with the visualization tool that you're using. The why behind where you decided and how you decided to bring it in, and basically how have you benefited from those tools, not just in your role, but as an organization as a whole, right? So maybe we'll start with just sort of the how and where different aspects of the dashboard you're using are impacting operations and customer experience. Maybe start with that. If anybody wants to jump in on what's happened since you've put that in those various areas of your organization.
Well, I could jump in since you brought up financials. So a big thing for GVC is we do have our own data team, and we use Power BI internally. However, you can only imagine how many requests are coming through. And as we were hearing about the BHBI dashboard, they were asking to get numbers around ARPU, which we all know that's a hard number to come up with sometimes. And especially for us because of the growth we're experiencing, promotions, and how that affected the ARPU as well. So what we were able to do is just come into our information here on packages. We can see the financials. We were able to produce those numbers and get some projections we were working on 2025 numbers for growth and forward. So it was an easy way to capture that without spending time on the data team to reproduce something that we already had.
Nice. Yeah. So for you on a financial side, that was one of your primary drivers to implement.
Yes, and they are looking at it daily now. Like you said, it's just a quick view. I could produce that information with what we already had, but it's all in one place. We know what we're looking at and we trust it. That's the other thing, is trusting the data. And one thing we have seen is everything's accurate. And if there ever is anything that maybe there's a question, so quick to answer and explain.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because that single source of truth is a big deal. That whole single source of truth becomes, when you don't have it, everybody loses faith, right? Yeah, exactly. So Luke, you've been, and I have to thank you. You have been, I guess Mark as well, and actually all three of you, come to think of it, you've all been really contributing ideas on how to make that whole dashboard environment more effective for your operations. Love to hear from you, Luke, about what were some of the things that you asked for, and maybe what were some of the pleasant surprises that have occurred as you've gotten deeper into it.
Yeah, so I mean, similar to Shelley, we need dashboards for projections and planning, but more important to that, I still very clearly remember what it looked like day one of our fiber build out. we didn't have any dashboards. And what that process looked like, and similar to Shelley as well, is that we do have an internal business intelligence team that that handles all of our dashboards on the electric side. But so day one, we started going out and saying, well, what metrics are important to us? Are they things like app adoption or drivers towards customer satisfaction? Are they financial statements that accounting and billing teams need to use? And then we quickly found out delinquent payments and accounts and arrears. All those things are super important to being able to run the business. And what we ended up with is we generated dozens and dozens and dozens of different dashboards in a business intelligence software, not directly Power BI in our case. But all that took time. And so we were sitting there as operational teams submitting requests by the week to our business intelligence teams and creating dashboards. And the struggle there for us is that, one, we have to convey the idea to that business intelligence team, say, this is the data that we need in the dashboard. This is the way we want it to look. This is the way that we're going to present it to our board or our upper management. And we need you to put this all together. So I don't know anything about SQL or coding, so I hope you guys do. And, they made some of the most incredible dashboards, but it takes time and it takes upkeep and it takes overhead to do all that.
Yeah, so, that's a good point, is the overhead piece of it, right? Because you're not only are you trying to figure out what you want, you're trying to get people who really don't necessarily understand the aspect that you're looking for, that slice of information, or even generally. I mean, if they were on the electric side, that must have been a bit of a challenge to kind of get them to understand what's going on the ISP side, right?
Well, I mean, fortunately, the data sets are pretty similar. In fact, some of the key metrics that you use on the electric side for outage minutes and time to restoration, those kind of things, they're compatible across the industry. And so to talk about some of the really cool things that, well, take a step back really quick. What brought us into being interested in BHBI? One of the big things was that I talked a little bit about. It's our operational teams that are having to convey the message of what the dashboard should look like to our business intelligence team. The thing that BHBI brought to us was somebody who had 15 years of experience running as an operator, creating these dashboards. And maybe I don't have that number directly correct, but Daryl Chandler.
Yeah.
He was the key component of making us feel comfortable with that dashboard. Saying, hey, I've done this for X amount of years. I know the data sets that you guys are going to need, and I know how to give them to you, and I know how to maintain them. And we said, okay, we're sold. What's the price point there? And the price point was a really good realization that we can save our members and we can save our subscribers a lot of money by having somebody who has a vision and knows how to implement it. So some of the biggest dashboards that we got out of BHBI were data sets around outage numbers. Proactive outage monitoring is something that we just recently enabled this year, and we're now feeding BHBI with that data set. And then as well, being able to monitor our VoIP activations, port requests, when they get denied, what their FOC date is or their date to be turned on. All these things are in the dashboard, and they're at your fingertips and curated in a way that you already know that you want, but you didn't know you needed.
Awesome.
Maybe I have that backwards. Didn't know you needed, but you wanted.
Yeah, it probably goes both ways, right? Like, I mean, there's so many tools that you pick up and go, geez, I knew I needed that tool, but now that I've got it, it's like, wow, how did I get by without it? Actually, as a side note, we even just like for our own organization, we're going through this whole SOC compliance for getting ourselves to that level of data security. And one of the aspects of that was putting in a password keeper, which just seems so basic now that we've got it. We had no idea that we needed this, right? Mark, you're going like, all these passwords. We've got like 300 passwords in our organization. I had how did we survive, right? Anyways, that's sort of a side note, but Yeah, Mark, you're shaking your head a couple times there as well when Luke was bringing a couple things up.
Passwords was a big one. After working at an AdTran for 19 years, I've used the default admin password for everything. And then when you go into a real world production, you can't use admin password anymore. So no, we use, KeePass also, and it's ridiculous how many passwords I have in there, but it is a game changer, especially with security. But anyways, kind of ditto what Shelly and Luke. I'm the complete opposite of them. I have nobody to create dashboards for me or to dig into data. We're a very minimal staffed electric cooperative. So I have actually nobody to do any of that kind of stuff. And typically it revolves on me spending hours a week and months creating weekly reports for the teams, and most importantly, to put into a board report that I have to, provide monthly to our board. And it was just, crunching data, spreadsheets, going into a PowerPoint. And what I loved about when I saw, BHBI from Luke and Shelly was just all the data there on the dashboards, how quickly it is. And, I don't have to go run a report anymore to go get that data. I can just go to a website and it's already there, accurate, on a daily basis. And, that allows, the team members that I work with to not have to, hey, Mark, can you get me this? Or, hey, Mark, what is this? And now everybody can go get that data whenever they want it from a central spot. So that was a game changer for me. And then, also I think ditto what Shelly said on the ARPU and just finding that average rate per user is a great number to have, and also to see it change as your subscribers grow and as you make changes to your products and your pricing, and being able to see that real time is great. And then for me, I'm trying to get to the outages point where Luke is. I'm very jealous. I want to get there. I don't have that yet, but I'm really looking forward to be able to have metrics like outages a minute per subscriber, kind of like what we do on the electric side. So I really want to mimic that, and BHBI will allow me to do that once I get that data into it. But for me, some of the big changes for me with being over network operations was equipment. Equipment is trying to find where all the equipment is a big pain, and just being able to go to BHBI and do a quick export of every technician and where that equipment is, junk clean, and being able to clean that and just get a more strategic inventory of where the equipment is and making sure it is categorized properly inside of our billing system. That was a big game changer for me. And then also, just being able to see, we just got our phone up and running with our voice partner Logicom. So being able to see all the phone ports and everything in there is great. Just having one simple window pane, easily readable, that's updated daily on the progress of phone ports. Because you talk to any cooperative, and probably the biggest pain that any scheduler has is porting phone numbers, and it's an absolute nightmare. If you talk to anybody that actually does the work, it's probably their pain in their side over anything else. Just getting all the paperwork and then seeing the statuses of that and what is going on. So I'm hoping that will really benefit our scheduling team and our commercial sales with the porting of the phone numbers. And then I think kind of ditto what Shelly said of just being able to see all the different work orders that's going on upcoming, and just quickly categorize them in an easy to view format is very helpful, just to see what's upcoming for scheduling and planning to help out. So it's great for me just to be able to have all that data that I can easily use for my reporting and forecasting.
Yeah, so thanks, Mark. Yeah, no, I'd love to hear how each of you are sharing access to the dashboard to who in the organization. In other words, what levels, and if you're even doing that, or is it something you're kind of keeping to your own little core?
Sure, I'll jump on that one. For me, it's I have shared it across the team. Our CEO has access to that, or other managers have that to that. I've also given access, to the network team that I manage and scheduling. So
Okay.
I'm all about sharing information. So, if they feel that it's valuable, it's really up to them if they want to come back and utilize it. But I think having the information there, and if it's going to help them with their job, I would expect them to be, logging in and using that and seeing. Some of the people probably are only going like scheduling. You're probably just going to the work order part and then, to the phone part. So I think it just depends on what your role is and kind of what you want to look for. So, I look more for the churn and equipment and what's upcoming on the schedule on my daily stuff. So I think it just depends on what role you're in and what are you trying to get, what information you're trying to glean from the dashboard.
Yeah, I would suggest that I'd love to run a contest internally and see who can get the most engagement in each of the organizations. And the whole idea behind the engagement isn't just about, use our tool. It's, okay, you're using our tool, give us some feedback and or at least, or filter that feedback back to you guys because you're sort of the champions of the dashboard in your respective organizations. And how do we make it better, right? Sorry, Shelley, I think I jumped on you there. You were agreeing?
No, I agree. I've shared it and, it's kind of up to each area on how they want to use it. I've seen definitely the executive level has looked at the financial pieces of it for sure. Operations, looking at the churn is a big piece of that and seeing, okay, how can we, maybe go and work retention or different areas that we could be better at. So, and then for marketing, I was providing numbers on goals they had, and now I just shared it with them and they can go in there and around the different things they have running, they can see how it's affecting the numbers. So,
and you're seeing that, like you're getting that kind of trend graphing, right? That can show where things are going. And I mean, that's just so key for so many organizations. We get the day-to-day can just consume you, right? Putting out fires can just destroy you. You can destroy weeks and not even think about the big picture, just putting out all the fires and all the interruptions in the meetings. And I love the fact that even for our own internal dashboard at DirectWorks, like before we put that thing up, I could not tell you the number of hours that were wasted in meetings trying to figure out where every job was at. Like where, in your case, like you have work orders, we have work orders. We're not in the same industry directly like you are, but it all just came down to the same thing: is that single source, watching for trends, exposing, finding waste, right? Yeah, and when you guys were putting in the dashboard, what kind of did you have to do much of a sales job with your senior leadership team in approving the expense? I'd love to hear the journey you went through on that. Anyone?
Yeah, I'll hop in on that one. So, yeah, for budget approvals, there's always a journey, right? Especially at an electric co-op, we pride ourselves on being pretty cost efficient and being very responsible with our members' money. So throwing on additional software and additional waste is not something that we like to do. And so it wasn't like I walked up and said, "Hey, this is the greatest dashboard that I've seen."
But it is. I mean, it is.
But it is. I showed him the pamphlet. I said, "Look at it. It's in dark mode. What more could you want?" So there was a journey with it, but I think it's so competitively priced that you can very clearly look at the amount of time that your teams are spending creating dashboards, upkeeping dashboards. And we have dashboards that one very small data set will change and it'll break the dashboard. A sales area changes and now your homes pass counts are off. Somebody on the administrative side in the billing platform makes an edit to how packages are created. And now the naming is off. So everything in our dashboards were what I like to call hard-coded. But seemingly from the BHBI dashboard, everything's very dynamic. It really leverages the the base system of GLDS's Broadhub platform and says, yes, I understand the data that you want, regardless of what it's named, and that's the data that you should feed this dashboard with. So it makes it very easy as software develops, it enhances to follow along with those changes and have a dashboard that's always functioning. So although there was a journey with getting it approved, I think everybody is well receiving the dashboard. And just to touch on the last topic really quick, we originally budgeted for 8 users for BHBI. I think right now we're sitting around 30.
Yeah, you are the kings, you guys. You are. We look at our engagement. We have a dashboard for the engagement of our dashboard, and yeah, you guys are crushing it.
And that wasn't any internal selling. This was somebody was at the office on their laptop looking at a dashboard. Another person walked by and said, "Hey, what is that? What can that do?" 5-minute elevator pitch. Wait, where do I sign up for that? Well, we got to order some more licenses from Microsoft, Power BI. And so, it blew up extremely quickly internally, and it was all organic. I didn't want to push the platform out to anybody. I'm always concerned about people that might, not like to use it. But in our case, it was the exact opposite. People were begging to use it. They loved to see the simplicity, and they loved access to data at their fingertips that helped them with their day-to-day job.
Awesome. Any other journeys out there?
For me, it was pretty easy after I saw it. So once I, luckily I have the ability just to go ahead and sign that order and get it purchased. So
Mark, how many employees do you have in your division in the
Sprout? I think we have right around 14, 15 people with 12,000 subscribers. So it's that's where we're at.
And Luke, where are you guys at? If you're allowed to disclose that?
I don't know if I have an exact head count for you.
It changes every day with you guys, all of you. It's like it's just this trajectory, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then just to talk about headcount, I know this is a dashboard podcast, but headcount is just one of those things that's so interesting about a growing greenfield fiber deployment. You want to run slim because budgets aren't huge. You haven't been operating for a long time, but you have to be able to provide that customer experience. And one of the things that we did is we said, well, we need really good people, and we need a lot of them to make sure that our subscribers are happy and well taken care of. So I don't have an exact number on headcount. I do know it's a little bit higher than 14 or 15, and that's supporting 16,000 subscribers.
16,000, yeah. Awesome.
Well, and for us on, being able to say we're going to do this, we saw it, we were at BAM and Daryl walked us through all the awesome things that, look, it's right here, So Jeff and I
Daryl's
came back.
a good sales rep.
Yeah, he is. And, but it was good information. It was all just right in one area. That's the thing. We had all this reporting, we had a lot of it automated, but it wasn't in one place. So just being able to know that it's all right here, you can just click through the different tabs. And like Luke said, I think the pricing is very well in line with, our needs. And so it wasn't a hard pitch necessarily, because I do think it's very reasonably priced. But whenever we were able to show what it would be able to provide and the time saved, would we need to hire someone else to create something like this? Or, where could we save money internally for the members? And it's kind of like a no-brainer. So,
yeah, what I love about what you just said there is that how I'm going to take that soundbite and play that to Jeff about 19 times a day for the next 6 months. So how it's very cost effective,
reasonably priced,
and reasonably priced. He's going to owe me money by the end of this. Anyways,
good luck.
Yeah, I'm up for the challenge. Poor guy, he's not even here. We're kicking him. Anyways, I love what you guys are saying about just the fact that you're catering to not catering, but you're your main priority is your members, right? I believe that as a cooperative, that's a whole different spirit and a responsibility, right, to be accountable to your members. And I think that really changes the way you look at things in your, it's not a typical for-profit business. So even though you have to take that extra time to really be careful with those costs, and obviously even in a growth scenario, as you're saying, Luke, it's like, you need to hire really good people, but you need really good tools to do it. And again, not that I'm, we're not in your industry directly, but I can honestly say that even just the excitement that comes around when you first start to look at what's possible with a dashboard, any dashboard that's integrating with a database or multiple databases, what a difference that makes. It's like it gives you hope in some cases that, oh my God, we're not going to kill ourselves just trying to figure out something every month, for sure.
And for us, we're a little different. We've been around since 1998, so we don't just have fiber internet, we also have wireless. So it's a big deal because we tend to cannibalize ourselves, so we're constantly looking at, yes, we're going into areas with new fiber, but then how is that affecting the areas where we have wireless, and then in those areas where we can't go into with fiber, how can we get the wireless customers the next speeds and the things they need? So with the dashboard, we can see a lot of that information quickly and be able to make decisions. So,
well, and there's a reason why these tools have surged in popularity, right? I mean, as long as you're getting accurate information in one place. And there's a big difference between data and information, obviously. It's the visualization piece of it that turns it into information, I think. That's the whole point of a dashboard, I guess, is that consolidation of information. Is there any sort of advice that you would give to another organization similar to yours, just starting out, into for example the GLDS universe in on that journey, regarding not just well, I guess we probably focus on the dashboard. Is there a magic moment you think where it makes the most sense in your growth process to implement the dashboard? Would you I'd love to hear your different opinions, like something you'd want to just wait a little bit until you've got a certain level of momentum with your organization? Is something do you feel that might be something you would look at going, yeah, we should go right out of the gates with this, and based on what you know about how it works?
I mean, for me, I think you go right out of the gates because you have the data and the history, and you can see that, because my data starts when we purchase the dashboard, right? So I can go back as far as when I've made that purchase. Now, Daryl has been awesome and brought some additional information in that we needed to go back to. But I think, with certain things, it might be a good idea to,
Yeah, that was the first thing my chief accountant was asking for. Well, I need to see it back from when we started. I was like, well, right now it only shows you from when we implemented. But yeah, that was the first question that came out of his mouth, was wishing that he had the data from the past years to see our growth and the changes. So I agree with Shelley on that one. I think having the data, even though it's probably like for us, we slow rolled out. So, but I think having that data and then going back and be able to just to see the growth and what you've been doing over the past years, it would be very beneficial to what Shelley was saying. So I agree with that. And it's really, you don't ever have to do that much. So I know, like for me, when I was turning up the network, I was absolutely slammed. But this is, from my viewpoint, it was a very minimal time that I was required to get it up and running, which I think is huge. It was just like sign the contract, and next thing I know, I was like, here's your dashboard. And then what's your feedback? And that was it. Where I'm used to, it requires me a lot of time. I'm having to make network changes. I'm having to do this and that to get stuff turned up. And that's what I loved about this was I just signed a contract, and the next thing I know, Daryl's presenting me the dashboard. And he had a few questions, but I didn't personally have to go do anything to go get it turned up. There was no time. My time is pretty valuable because I'm doing everything with the network. And as you know, with the lean staff, it's just, that's what I loved about it was I just signed it, went away, didn't even think about it until Daryl told me it was up. So I think that's the beauty of it is it's easy to get turned up, and why not do it when you're launching it? So I agree with Shelly.
And going back to, he is an expert, like, and truly knowing that, and he
Exactly.
knows the data better than I know it. So, usually if there are any questions, he's able to show you exactly how to prove it out, and just trusting
I think the
that.
beauty of that was taking the few feedbacks that I had, and next thing I know, they were in the release. And I think that was pretty cool because, Daryl does have a mastermind, but, I think everybody's different, and he has the ability to take your recommendation. Okay, yeah, this other people could benefit from it, and then he'll implement it. And, that's what I love about it is Shelly's getting and Luke are getting the benefits of my recommendations, and I'm getting the benefits of Luke and Shelly's and so forth. So it's a sharing thing. And that's what I really like about it is everybody's able to, because there's some things I didn't even think about that probably Luke and Shelly added in there that I'm using that I didn't even think about, so that's what's great is you're seeing a lot more statistics and points in there that I probably never even would have thought of to even look at because again, you don't know what you don't know. So
yeah, I mean, it's like having a tool in your hand that it's a beautiful instrument of some sort, but if you don't know how to use it, right?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with this? This is pretty, but and I also really believe that the crowdsourcing is the best way to build. Like, groups make best decisions. You all have different experiences. You all have different aspects of your business that you like to emphasize. There are many little dark corners that you'd love to shed a light on that are kind of in the back of your mind, or maybe not even exposed until somebody else shines that light on it. And, well, yeah, I could use that. And yeah, that's the beauty of a dashboard in general is that they shouldn't be very complicated to implement and change and manipulate, and they are supposed to be just a front end thing. And I know that we've kind of, interestingly, and we've seen this a couple of times now, and even with some other dashboards that we've done, is that you start out going, here's a dashboard. Like, a dashboard, what does that really mean? Is it a where we're at right at this moment, a visual just representation of various aspects and statistical consolidated, et cetera? What we're seeing is that more and more demand is getting into through the dashboards, getting into the nitty gritty, getting into the literally producing a list, producing an output that can then be sent somewhere else. Which really, I mean, in the real pure definition of a dashboard, you don't normally do that, and that's one of the things that we've really focused on is that ability to export and get that data into other areas. Well, that's awesome, guys. Appreciate that. I'd love to. We're getting a little short on time here, so I'd love to just get some closing thoughts about, in general, the very, very high level, what you would love to communicate at this point about the sort of the high level. Have you? I guess where am I going with this? And Harsh is going to edit a lot of this out, I think, but. Where I'm going at is, can you give an example of how your organization has changed something in the way that it operates, or strategically, or in sales as a result of information? Something that you've taken that information from the dashboard, or somebody has, and they've implemented something that has made a concrete difference in sales, operations, or finance. Do you have any examples of something that kind of made a difference that you now can measure because you're measuring it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, mine is not really financially tied, but it kind of goes more back to the equipment, just seeing how much of my equipment was not properly categorized and was tracking, so once I saw that, I was able to make a change, implement a policy of how our technicians junk equipment and, reclassified them properly. But what happens is, somebody goes to stall, takes something out, throws it in their truck, and next thing you know, you never know where that piece of equipment is again, from a tracking perspective. So being able to make our contractors and our employees more proactive on getting that equipment out of the truck, cleaning it back up, verifying it, and putting it back into a clean state to where it can be used in the field again. And just being able to see that and track that in a better perspective for me. Because before, you can't easily see that from a dash without running reports. Being able to see that from a dashboard is the beauty of it. Is I don't have to go click a button to get that information anymore. I can easily see it now and make changes and find out who the culprits are. So the contractors, employees probably don't like that, but I can easily see who the culprits are, real quickly. And then, also just being able to see the forecasting of the schedule and just seeing what's coming up real quickly and availability of the technicians and the growth that we're having is one of the big helpful points for me, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, what we're looking for is at the end of the day, actionable information, right? And that sounds like you've got a couple going on there with the, with the equipment and the culprits, as you put them. Shelley, Luke?
Yeah, for me, so there's always been this big question between what's a subscriber and what your package is and how those impact, why is the number not the same? Which they're not the same. However, to really be able to prove that out, we had a lot of accounts in wrong categories. We categorize by franchises and different things. So it's really hard to get a picture of what that looks like if you don't understand it. But the way it's broken out with subscribers and franchises, I was able to do a lot of cleanup and recategorize that. And now that it makes sense, because the first question when I shared the dashboard was, whoa, why are those two numbers so far off? And I was able to clean up, explain, and that helped a lot with, you're looking at when you're looking at the subscribers and it's showing the different aging buckets and the billings around it and being able to match that up better to the package count. So
right,
I agree with Shelley. Just, you don't really know what you don't know, but until you see it in a graph format and how many little things weren't associated correctly. And you never would have seen that if you didn't see it on the dashboard. And then I forgot that stuff we did early on was just, we did like Shelley did. We did a lot of cleanup. Because once you start seeing these things categorized wrong or assigned wrong, and then being able to see it real easily and go back in there and fix it. Yeah, so Shelley, that's a really good point. There's something I forgot about that we did early on was when you're in there seeing that incorrect data and then being able to go make a change, and then the next day it's all updated, and I think that's a good point, Shelley.
Because for me, I am in the system. I'm the system admin. That's my job to keep things clean. And you think, hey, I'm doing a good job until you get it all in one area, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing okay. I need to, but it keeps me. Another area is just the user screen tab for me. I'm keeping users up to date. I'm getting people out. Like sometimes I don't know someone switched roles or different things have changed, and I can see when they've logged in last, and I can ask questions on, okay, should they be in there? Should they not? So that way we're keeping up with, it's just easier. It's all in one place. Don't have to go to different screens within Broad Hub to see that.
Exposing things, I think, is the right, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
agree. That's a huge benefit.
Yeah. How about Luke?
We were talking about should be a day one implementation, and I think the funniest thing, just to touch on what both Mark and Shelley said, was it was really interesting seeing that database after 4 years of no cleanup. I remember messaging up Daryl and I said, dashboard's broken. The numbers are all off. And we hopped on a call and took a look at it. It's like, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't think there's a problem with the dashboard. So what do you mean by that? My numbers aren't wrong here. And he's like, well, so, shining the light on some of those things, that equipment, open work orders that have been open for over a year.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
House doesn't even exist anymore. It was bulldozed over kind of thing. And the dashboard shows you all these things so that you can have a cleaner and better environment. Otherwise, it just starts stacking up for years and years. And one of the things, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get in trouble for mentioning this, but the last thing that we worked on with DirectWorks was creating a dashboard specifically for OLT cleanup. We had subscribers that were in a soft disconnect status, on our OLT, but they were actually an active customer. So they end up calling in and saying, well, why don't I have service? And our billing team didn't know because they don't have access to our OLT. So we monitor that and make sure that accounts are in the correct status in our OLT. And even worse than that, we had subscribers that had been disconnected for several months and still had active service. So they were just getting free service. And that was something that we worked on with DirectWorks on this EHBI platform, saying, well, not only do we need to monitor the cleanup on our billing platform, we also need to do some audits and some cleanup on our OLT that manages all of our service activation. I think you may be surprised to see that there are subscribers on your network potentially have not been paying for service for a while. And that all just comes with the routine cleanups.
Awesome. Well, listen, I really, really appreciate everybody's input. Shelly, Mark, Luke, you guys have been awesome. And thank you for taking the time.
Yep.
We will be running through and editing some stuff out, but in due course.
Don't clip everything I said. Leave me a sentence.
You can just remove Luke from the whole thing.
Put the logo over my face and just cut out all the audio.
This is turning into, this is going to turn quickly into an episode of Hollywood Squares, I think.
We appreciate it, Dan. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day and week, and we'll be seeing you down the road. If not before BAM, then certainly at BAM.
Yep. Shelly, good to see you. Luke, Dan,
Dan.
Y'all
y'all have a good one.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
See you guys.